This one stock can change early buyers' lives. I'm not a financial advisor, but some financial advisors might say it's a good idea to buy as much as possible before December 6th. The company is Fastly, ticker symbol FSLY. They do edge computing. So what's going on is you have these data centers all over the world, or the developed world, and the closer you are doing computations, whether that's opening up your phone and playing Candy Crush or doing some type of scientific modeling with a GPU, the better those computations are going to perform, the faster they're going to be, the closer you are to a data center. And what Fastly does, and what similar companies like Cloudflare do, is they spread out information across all of those data centers so it can be ultra low latency, and you can do those computations fast because the information doesn't travel as far through the sky or through wires to get back to your phone or computer. They have 150 million after all that explanation, up 15% year over year of revenue. So not a huge company, but it's also not a startup. There is a more startup type company, Ondas Holdings, ticker symbol ONDS, that looks awesome right now. They're a drone company. They got helped by Trump's executive order, which is basically permitting beyond line of sight drone operations, which is pretty important if you're going to be a commercial drone company, to not have to literally see the drone at all times. The technology's there to operate them using cameras, satellites, and all that. So that was a big step for a lot of drone companies. Ondas does have a 6x increase in revenue year over year. It's not a lot of revenue. They have 10 million, but you know what? They're making money, and this is not a total hobbyist company. So let's look at the chart. Let's look at why right now is the time to take a look at them before December 6th. And not a financial advisor, but knowing nothing about these companies, I think these charts would still be interesting.
This is Sam Putnam.
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 So here's what you got for Fastly. 150 million, up 15% year over year. Beat Wall Street estimates. And if we look at the chart, Honest had a nice earnings reaction as well, but this is a nice earnings reaction. I mean, my goodness. Did have some profit taking, a bit of a rebound, a false breakout. But you know what? It's companies that have false breakouts. I mean, talk about false breakouts. Look at like ExxonMobil, right? Would you call this a false breakout, or this or this or this or this? When this thing does go, I mean, the same thing with the breakout of the year, right? Tesla, false breakout, false breakout, false breakout, false breakout. Really what it's doing is just creating this volatility, contraction, and eventually this just contracts with, you know, the stratosphere and just takes off. So we'll see what's going to happen for these companies like Fastly and Ondas, but they're over this important level. There's a clear opportunity to hop in here with relatively low risk. And I can't find a lot of better setups if we look at a monthly chart. Definitely perking up. A weekly looks pretty constructive over these levels of 1150. So, as is often the case, as I often say, you can know nothing about what's going on here and say there's a high volume, there's a lot of interest here, and are you just following the crowd? Maybe, but aren't you always kind of following the crowd? I mean, the crowd can be wrong or dumb, and you still want to follow the crowd, because where the money is going is where the price of the stock is going to go up. So, and they did have some revenue. This is not a made-up company. I mean, it's only $1 billion market cap, but they don't have like dilution really. I mean, they're not trying to just enrich themselves. they're doing all the right words, denial of services, transport layers, security, firewalls, like I said, edge computing, load balancing. This is like the modern AWS S3 with the image optimizers. They came out in 2011, so they've been around the block. And yeah, they're down significantly from 2021, as we saw like all these software companies are, a lot of these startups too. But looks pretty interesting right now. And revenue guidelines, bullish. It looks like they're doing a little bit of a switch, or that's going to be in 5 days. I don't think that's going to affect the stock price. Sometimes you have to be careful with stuff like this because, a company gets delisted and, it's hard to sell your shares, or, God forbid you short companies and you're really paying interest on the borrow fees and all that. But that's not what we're talking about. They do CDNs, and so material amounts of stock is pretty relative. 40,000 shares of a $10 stock, 400K, it's not crazy. It's just not that crazy for a $1 billion company, right? So I would sort of not listen to ChatGPT too much here. They do need to be profitable, but no one said that this is a company you want to own for the next 5 years. If you want to own a company for the next 5 years, just go buy a company that moves a few percent a day, like Cloudflare, right? This thing that's had a crazy run in the last couple of years, and it seems like despite all the outages, they're not really indictments on Cloudflare. As anything, it's like free advertising. All these, airline softwares went down. Your favorite social media network, all the images go down. It means everyone uses Cloudflare. Cloudflare is cool. I've used Cloudflare. But that earnings reaction looks like trash. Fastly actually has a pretty solid reaction. So if you're going to compare the two, I think this one definitely looks better. As for this other company, I think you kind of have to be a little careful with some of these drone stocks, but Ondas looks the best of them. If we look at UMAC, I guess they're shaping up. ARCAT is shaping up a little less so. These are super speculative, these tiny ones. This is like $100 billion a day for ARCAT. Pretty much the same for UMAC. At least Ondas is in the billions, almost, of dollars traded per day. Well, I didn't mean to say 100 million shares per day for these. I meant $100 million, right? You take the 10 million of shares times the $10 share price, just about. So this is the big one, and it's definitely has some volume coming in and some continued momentum. Now, is that momentum gonna continue? I don't know. No one knows. But what we do know is there's a pretty clear level right here. And so if you can buy it right now and risk that level, you've definitely got something. And it's not always wise to buy stuff that's up in the pre-market, right? You're not getting the best price. But hey, you could have said that, at a lot of these different days. It's up in the pre-market, don't buy it. And then it just continues to move up. Since earnings, this was up, I guess this was up right at open. So you have to have some discretion a little bit. But when it comes up to a major breakout level, it doesn't really matter as to whether you get it at 8.2 or 8.6. If it gets over 8.8, and then it goes to 12, right? You're making money. So that's pretty much the idea here. And as for what they're up to, 10 million, 6x year-over-year increase in revenue. They did raise their guidance, and they recently closed a $400 million equity and warrant offering. So that's one of the largest offerings. It's putting them in the small cap defense tech firm category. So I guess they would be in the category with like KTOS, another defense name that's a little bit bigger. But in terms of drone companies, I mean, KTOS is a $15 billion company, so it's not exactly the same, but you do want to at least get a sense of the growth opportunity. KTOS, I don't want to buy this right now. It's just sloping down, right? Palantir, obviously, the juggernaut success story that you're trying to compare these two, but you don't really have to make that bet right here. All you're really saying, in my opinion, is can this go back to 12? Can this go back to 10 even? Or can you risk, 20 cents to make $2 or more? And I think the opportunity is there. I'm sorry to get super nitty gritty granular here, but it's important, right? It definitely matters when you get in and what you're risking. So be aware of that. Don't just blindly jump in when it's up at $9.75 or $10. It's notable where you get in. So that's all I'm saying. That December 6th deadline is important. Of course, if the market just goes down significantly in the next few days, and not even the market, because this isn't so correlated with the market, but if Ondas goes down significantly, you might have to let it level off first. So this is a big deal. Multi-year government contracts to build border protection systems, sort of like an Iron Dome, Golden Dome. First purchase order expected January of next year. And they got $8 million from a major European security agency. So here's the Iron Drone radar. So this is like an example of the type of orders they're likely to get. 8 million sounds like a lot, but I mean, imagine the US defense budget, right? We're talking in the multi-billions. So that's the long-term play in the next 5 years. And if they can get some little government contracts, that would be great. They do AI sensing, electronic countermeasures, maybe like radar jamming or whatever the modern version of that is. It's obviously had huge runs. It's definitely unprofitable. But no one is really saying that this is Palantir yet. I mean, they just had the news of Palantir has 4 billionaires, right? And their valuation is, or whatever, their revenue is in $1 billion or something like that. Like, it doesn't really have to make financial sense as an investor in the short term. So that's sort of the arbitrage you're playing off of. So imagine that on a much smaller scale. And they're in the good graces of the administration. So some of these other companies, I've talked about this in the past, they're not useless, but are you really going to invest in Red Cat? Are you really going to invest in unusual machines? Or really even AeroVironment? I haven't mentioned AVAV. This company isn't really looking like it's bouncing, is it? I mean, it has very clear moves, but would like to see a higher low here before taking a look at that. And this is the big company, KTOS, we already looked at. Red Cat, drone hardware for military and commercial use is great, but I don't think Red Cat even has any big deals. Take a look at these companies in your free time, or if you're about to buy them, just do what I'm doing and just search it on ChatGPT. But in my opinion, and let me know in the comments if you find anything different, I don't think these companies, I mean, they're selling shares, so they're raising money, but they're not actually getting money from potential clients. So that's a pretty big difference. You know, air and surface drones, it's great. They're expanding their products. Again, maybe a long-term player, maritime drones, you know, off of aircraft carriers and all that. They're just offering after offering, and they're literally selling components to each other. This is less than $1 million, and it almost sounds like some sort of Y Combinator, you know, you buy my software, I'll buy yours, and then we'll both have $1 million ARR thing. So, all right, I eat my words. They did get a $12 million contract for components to the U.S. Army. But it's still parts. It's a little weird. So we'll take a look at that. The dilution's definitely worrisome for Ondas. They have the ability to offer, but so far they raised that $400 million and they don't need cash. And the chart looks pretty awesome right now. So that's Ondas. Take a look at Fastly too. If you like these ideas, hit that like button. Helps people find them through YouTube. Otherwise, YouTube's going to show them. I don't know. I'm not going to say any stock market, commentators, but I think this is okay info. And then if you want a free course, hit that subscribe and get that how to buy stocks before they go up course. If you head over to the Discord at 9:30 a.m. And you join, give that trial a chance, that's where we'll be. So I'll see you in the next one.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.